But I think something, though, that we could get a bipartisan support for is cutting out some of these agencies. You could actually say to people, look, we might be able to get you more benefits. However, right now, a lot of your benefits are going to these $100,000 salaries in the education department. We got to eliminate that.
Welcome back. Mike Lomas, the Legal Financial Guys, the place where money meets politics, and we have a ton of fun with this podcast. We do manage money for a living, but I'm not sure we'll get to some money today. I've got a ton of articles in front of me, and I'm sure Glenn actually, most of these articles either you sent me or I sent you. So let's start out here. Stanford study results. Now, this is something you and I have talked about for months. And actually, I remember saying months ago that it might take a year or two to prove us right. It looks like I was right but wrong. We were right but wrong. Stanford study results, face masks are ineffective to block transmission of COVID-19 and actually can cause health deterioration and premature death. You know, who would have thought wearing a face diaper?
It's been report after report after report. And what's really frustrating and aggravating is all these clowns on the left. They say, well, follow the science. You guys are anti-science or science deniers. Well, look, you had the Denmark study. You've had multiple Stanford studies. This isn't the first one.
We posted 26 studies that showed how disgusting these face masks were.
Study after study after study after study after study. There's no evidence whatsoever. Not a single study has anybody in the mainstream media been able to produce that shows that masks are effective.
This is out of a university,
Not one. But this is what aggravates the crap out of me, right?
Me too.
You guys are science deniers. Oh, can you please cite the study that shows? Oh, well, they had a barber who cut a whole bunch of hair, and she or hairdresser, and she had COVID, but she wore a mask and she cut like 100 hairs. Nobody else got it. Yeah. Okay, genius. That is conjecture. That's not a scientific study. What this guy did is he analyzed data. Look, I'm okay with not having a medical blind. I would prefer to have a blind, one of those, what do they call it?
A blind test.
The blind test, right? So you got, half the people don't know they're getting exposed, whatever. Yep. We've had the ample time to do that. And for those people who say, well, how do you do that? How do you get people to say? There's people volunteering early on and say, yeah, you can inject me with something that I don't know, right?
Absolutely.
So there's going to be volunteers that would volunteer for that.
That's got the vaccine, right?
For sure, right? So you could have easily, if you wanted to, you could have done that study by now, but you haven't. Yeah. Why? Because, well, they actually did. They did in Denmark, and guess what it showed? It showed that mask didn't work. So, but this is so frustrating.
Yeah, that's Stanford's university that demonstrates beyond a reasonable doubt that face masks have absolutely zero chance of preventing the spread of COVID-19, but they can actually make you sick, which is pretty obvious to me. We talked about this for a long time.
It corroborates the other data.
Yeah, you put a face diaper on yourself that probably has been sitting on the floor of your car for a while,
right?
And think that's healthy to do. It's just not. That's not how our immune systems are built. It's just gross to me. It's disgusting.
Let's take a quick stroll down memory lane for a second, shall we? And let's tie the data points together for those that maybe know everybody on Dancing with the Stars or really know if you're up to speed. Obviously, not our listeners, but most of the folks that are clueless they could tell you exactly who's the finalist on The Bachelor, right?
Yeah, sure.
But let's go back, through some data points for those that are our listeners that maybe they can use to enlighten their friends and family and folks that maybe don't believe, okay? So we've got this most recent study from Stanford, okay? We know that the study says that face masks are not effective. We can go back and we can look at the CDC's own data from last August, okay, that showed that 70% of people that were COVID positive had reported always wearing masks, and another 14 to 16%, I don't remember the number exactly, it was either 14 or 16, it wasn't 15, that said that they almost always wore a mask. That 84% reported always wearing or almost always wearing a mask. Those were the ones that were reporting COVID cases, right?
Yep.
COVID cases will only account for 3% were those that reported never wearing a mask. So you've got these different data points. Now, you can go back, beyond that even earlier on, there's other studies that showed the very similar thing, that the cases that were coming in, and remember, it was puzzling, it was baffling. We read some of the headlines, right? The CNBC and CNN headlines that said, it's confusing. We don't understand why with lockdown and masks, things are still spiking, right? You can go through all these things. Governor Cuomo, back in December, puts up the slide, 75% of new cases coming from people staying in lockdown, right? So we know that lockdowns, we know that masks don't work. And yet here we are in Michigan, doubling down, literally, right? Doubling masks up. I went into a Dunkin' Donuts recently, and the lady had 2 masks on. I'm like, what are you doing?
Glenn, they're talking about in the state of Michigan making this stuff permanent.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Permanent.
And Oregon, right? Yep. So there you have multiple states now. Yep. You see exactly who the dictators in this country are, who the tyrants are. It's on the left. They're all on the left.
This study, long-term consequences of wearing face masks can cause health deterioration, developing and progression of chronic diseases, and premature death. So exactly what we talked about months ago. Once again, financial guys spot on. Right again, I hate to say that because, we've talked about all kinds of businesses being destroyed, suicides up, drug abuse up. And don't tell me like it's not a big deal to wear a face mask. It is. That's not normal, especially for children.
No.
When you're telling your children to be afraid of everything. That's not the way they're. First of all, they're not. Their immune systems aren't built that way. Psychologically, they're not built that way. The damage from this is going to go on for decades. And the left, they just refuse to look at this stuff.
They don't care. They don't care.
Aggravating.
Well, we have
you
now
see the mainstream media when they get a study like this. This should be top notch.
Yeah, no.
All across the board, national news. Like, hey, look at. You're getting vaccinated, first of all. Second of all, you've already had COVID, many of you, and now we know the masks are useless. Go back to living your lives.
The mainstream media is the propaganda arm of the Democrat Communist Party.
Yep.
And that's what they are, folks.
Yep.
They're no longer Democrats, right?
No.
What we have in this country is we have, Democrat light, which is our Republicans, right, basically. And then you have
Bush this week.
George Bush,
more sympathetic to immigration.
Get out.
Okay.
Shut up. Shut up.
How about
go away? Just go away.
Just go away. That's
seriously.
Right.
Just
totally
go
useless.
the hell away. You were
the one that started this whole debt crisis.
Honest to God. Honest to God. But I wanted to say one more thing to corroborate the data, and I can't find it here as I'm looking, but somebody filed a FOIA request. I think it was in Ireland. And guess what it found, Mike, of all the different reported deaths? Guess how many deaths were actually from only COVID with no other coexisting conditions? Take
4%.
a wild guess. 6%.
Well,
6%. Just like the CDC study in this country, right?
Just like what we've been talking about for months,
right.
4 to 6%.
So when you have multiple countries, multiple FOIA requests, Freedom of Information type requests, and you see these data points starting to line up, right? You see that, in places like, Ireland or wherever that study was from, only 6% really and in fact, in that country, it was like 959 people. That was it, right?
Yeah.
6%. Yeah. Now, they said it was like 10,000 something, but really it wasn't. It was only 1,000 or whatever it was, like 500 and some odd people.
We're at like 0.001% are in the hospital from COVID at this point. Yeah.
So anyway, but yeah, going back, you mentioned Jeb Bush. Like, seriously, dude? Like, come on, Jeb. Go away. I mean,
no, that wasn't Jeb. That was George.
Oh, George was suggesting Jeb? No, I think Jeb is floating it out there, too. Or is it George floating it out there?
Well, I'm sure Jeb is. But George, like, come on, man. You're from Texas. You don't see that there's armbands all over from these people who are, running the ship and they hire these folks to bring them across the border. But it's just a total absolute mess. And the problem is that, when you're not coming in here legally, you don't have the structure to be successful, right? I mean, we all know what they're doing. Camilla Harris has not been down there.
No, she laughed about it.
She did laugh about it. How disgusting is that?
Right.
She
Not
hasn't been down
today.
there to support one of these people. There's a high probability they're going to sneak in and not be successful. They're not going to make it. They're going to be on welfare. They're going to be part of the handout crew. And, we're almost $30 trillion in debt, folks. I mean, I don't know where you think we're going to get all this money from to be able to successfully hand out more welfare to people, but we don't have it. You want to talk about the destruction of America, continue to bring in more people who are going to suck off the system as opposed to contributing to the system. And, at some point, by the way, when we've talked about study after study after study, you cannot fit everybody into this country.
Yeah.
So if you think you're going to save the world, it's literally like taking a little, a needle out of a haystack and saying, okay, that's what we can fit in America. So these countries got to get their crap together, or it's all for naught.
You're sounding scratchy to me for some reason. I don't know why, but adjust your cords over there or something.
All right.
So anyway, but yeah, the last thing we need is a rhino. Like, seriously? Like another... Yep. This is the problem, by the way. I mean, you have communists now that are the Democrat Party, right? Maxine Waters, she's calling for violence, right?
Well,
in the Chauvin
we don't stop
case.
her, though.
No,
we
they
don't stop her. If she's on the right, they're talking about immediately arresting her. Here, Nancy Pelosi says she shouldn't stop. Are you kidding me?
Right. She shouldn't stop.
Yeah.
She shouldn't stop, right? These clowns, by the way, all these clowns on the left that were like, oh, it's an insurrection. January 6th. How horrible was that? They're all gone, by the way. All of them, mouths shut as they start to burn down, Minnesota, right? Or what I can't think of the name of the town now. Brooklyn, Minnesota, right? Or wherever it is.
Brooklyn,
It's insane, right? So you have all these people that were like, oh, my God, I'm outraged. How could they storm the Capitol like that? And it wasn't right. Don't get me wrong. They definitely got out of control. However, clearly, and we pointed this out, we presented evidence, there was agitators within that crowd that whipped up even the conservatives that went in, and that was wrong. Don't misunderstand. I'm not condoning any sort of that. But you can't say, oh, well, that was so wrong. But this is for racial justice, so it's okay. I mean, the FBI, by the way, nothing to see here, right? So this is, and how I know, what we have really going on now, Mike, is you have the Communist Party of whether it's China, whether it's the world commies, I don't know, whatever, but they're influencing here, no question about it, right? As you said, you've got the Michigan governor that wants to continue with the lockdowns, continue with the business restrictions forever.
They're not talking about just like, hey, let's extend it for another month or two. They're talking about we should do this forever. Wear face diapers.
Yeah, forever.
Forever, right? Not get together forever. I mean, that is right out of the communist playbook. That is 101 right there.
Exactly. And it's just insane. So you have, some states in the South now, I think it was, I don't know if it was Texas or Alabama, one of the states basically said, no more face masks for kids. We're done. That's
good.
Right? So you got that side, and you got the communist side with these Democrats. I mean, people like Gretchen Whitmer, people like AOC, people like Maxine Waters calling on violence. I mean, it's really unreal what they want. And by the way, you can tell that this is a coordinated effort, clearly, right? And I used to call it the deep state, and maybe it is the deep state, maybe it's the bureaucracy, whatever it might be, right? But they're working hand in hand with their accomplices in the media. 60 Minutes is running a story tonight or whatever night, this week sometime. And now 60 Minutes, obviously, CBS is a complete and total hack job, right? Total hit job. They've
already lied about DeSantis once.
Right.
Yep.
So they're going out there now, and they're going to do a whole story on the insurrection, right? Really? So they're doing a whole story on right-wing extremism and the Proud Boys, right?
Yeah.
Why would they do that? Why is that news right now while BLM is burning down a city in Minnesota?
Again.
Why is it?
Again.
Right? So what they're trying to do is distract everybody, right? Oh, just sit in front of your TV, watch the 60 Minutes. We're going to show you the Proud Boys.
Yeah, the real problem.
First of all, the Proud Boys, I don't know really anything about them other than they're like the anti-Antifa, right?
Yeah,
but to my knowledge, I don't think the Proud Boys have burnt any buildings down. I don't think they've smashed any restaurants.
All as I know they've done is protect certain speakers. So there's been certain people on the right that are being threatened by Antifa, and they show up to try to protect them. That's what they do.
But that's what they're doing the story on, right? Don't look over here.
We'll never look at the real problem, right? The real problem, which is, goes all the way back to the family structure in the inner city. And, we think welfare and free handouts are going to fix that. That's just not going to happen. So sorry about some of the technical difficulties we're dealing with. We're not exactly sure, we have the same equipment every week, and we think the studio might be slightly haunted. Because we turn it back on and we switch from Roadcaster to Comrex to all things that I sound like I know what I'm talking about, but I really don't.
I think it's this cord right here. I think we found the culprit. It's that
cord
right there.
But the thing is, we don't touch the cord all week. It just sits there.
Well, we did fill in for Lonsbury last week. Not that we changed that cord out, but we did shuffle some of the equipment around just to be able to dial into a Wham 1180. But haunted could be. But you sound good now, so hopefully. Sorry about the scratchiness, but hopefully the rest of the podcast will be good to go. We'll see.
There was proof of UFOs last week on Fox News, so now I'm thinking the studio's haunted. But anyways, let's see if we can play a video. Ron DeSantis, who has been an absolute class act on handling COVID, and he's been criticized for not locking down, but one of his I guess he's saying mistakes is that he locked down too much. And, something that we talked about, although we gave him credit for switching gears, unlike the communist sexual predator Andrew Cuomo, who was just doubling down with all the wrong information and making things worse. But let's a great interview by DeSantis. Let's switch to that real quick.
Yeah, this is Tucker Carlson last night, right? So he had a couple great clips here. We'll play this one. He also said in one of the clips, when they asked, what was your biggest mistake? If you had to name one mistake, he said, well, it took me a little bit longer than I would have liked to get the data to really understand that Fauciism wasn't the way to go.
Yeah.
Locking everybody down, keeping kids out of school, that didn't make any sense. And so, unfortunately, it took me to about mid to end of April to figure that out. And then we plotted our own course thereafter. And the course was protect elderly and make sure that we focus on those folks that were the vulnerable part of the population. And everybody else, we did the best we can to get back to the normal as we could. And as a result, Florida has 4.7% unemployment rates. Somebody asked him recently, by the way, what do you think about extending unemployment, Governor DeSantis? Like, how stupid are you? He's like, why would I do that? People are back to work. We're at 4.7%.
Right.
People need workers. We don't need unemployment.
The biggest problem is we need labor.
Labor, exactly. People need workers. Exactly right. So here's
we need
DeSantis.
labor all over, by the way, and it's just as bad in New York because they've got the extended welfare benefits there, and they know they can continue to sit around.
Till August. How many times have you heard somebody say that? Right? Oh, I'd love the job, but I got to wait till August when my benefits run out because I'd rather sit at home like a slug.
The Democrats just can't figure that out. Or some of them can figure it out, and they know it's a political
sadly,
game that they want to
the
win.
people that really do need it are the ones that then don't get it, right? The people that really need it, that actually legitimately, are trying to get back on their feet, like everything else, like Social Security, disability, and everything else, they get drowned out by the freeloaders, right?
Yeah.
If you have you could fall into a vat of acid, right? And literally be a no-brainer for Social Security disability. But because so many freeloaders apply for it, the judge just rejects everybody. And then you got to hire an attorney. 3 years later, you get your benefits back, and the attorney takes a third of the 3 years that you didn't get. It's a joke. But anyway.
The welfare should be commingled with some kind of a training program. You want welfare, you're going to do something to try to
and a
earn
drug
some of the
testing
money.
program.
Yeah, and absolutely a drug test program. When Florida implemented that, 35% of people just dropped out.
Yeah, amazing.
Okay,
right?
well, I'd rather do drugs than get free money. Okay, that's your deal.
There you go.
Fun.
Yeah, go for it. All right, here's DeSantis last night on Tucker Carlson. Did a great job.
If I had more data, I would have had the ability to say, wait a minute, why would we need to, close a gym for 2 weeks? I mean, these are younger people going to work out. If you're healthy, you're going to end up dealing with the virus better. And so I think that it took me a few weeks, March and into April, to get enough data to say, okay, we're not doing Fauciism. We're going to make sure our state's open. We're going to get the kids back into school, and we'll just focus our protection on elderly people who are the ones that are at risk for this.
So you've taken all this crap for not locking down. You're saying, in retrospect, you wish you'd locked down less?
Even some of the restrictions we did, I think, were ineffective.
He's right on. I mean, look, here's the thing. Some of the restrictions we did, I think, were ineffective. Okay, there's somebody using common sense, looking in the rearview mirror, because we have the benefit now of 2020 hindsight. We can look back and say, did the lockdowns work? No. Because you look at the states right now. Look across the country right now. The states with the top 25 states are mostly blue.
Yep.
Right? Look at the states that don't have their schools open for whatever stupid reason. They're all blue. Right? So look at the states that are trying to destroy your kids' education, keep you locked down. Places like, a tyrannical Governor Whitmer in Michigan who says, I'd like to keep these, restrictions forever. Speaking of keep divided, we got to go back and play that.
Can you imagine saying that in the United States of America? We would like to have you locked down. We would like to have you divided. We would like to have you have a face diaper wrapped around your face for the rest of your life.
This is the Communist Chinese Party is influencing through China Joe and the rest of the influence that they can buy. And it's not like they come in and say, hey, we're the communists. Here's $100,000. They do it very sly, right?
They're winning from within.
Look at Hang Fang, or whatever her name was sleeping with what's his Joker and the Intelligence Committee.
Don't need to do much.
No, not much.
Once you control the media, you control the distribution. They control the social media, and they control the everyday media. So little by little, and again, not to sound like a broken record, but until the conservatives step up. I was on a call yesterday with a local business owner, and they were talking about, do we just open? Do we not open? And I said, dude, what? I don't understand.
Why is it even a question?
Yeah, if you're not going to open now, they're not going to let you open a year. This isn't going to stop.
No.
I mean, Andrew Cuomo said a few weeks ago that, he'd like to have people at the back of the Bills game unless there's another virus. Well, let me tell you, the world is always throwing viruses at us, whether it's flus or influenza, whatever. There's stuff that's going to happen all the time. Every day, every week, every month, something new is going to happen. And if you conservatives, you 80 million people that voted for Donald Trump, if you don't wake up, they're going to continue to run over you. And they win. That's what they do. They don't go to work. You know, a lot of you business owners like us, Monday through Friday, you know, I was in the office this morning, 7:30, right? We're not plotting to try to march somewhere. We're trying to figure out how to run our company.
Yeah, grow our business, hire more people.
But at some point, you got to step up and say, enough is enough. We're going back to the way we live. If 80 million people stepped up and did that tomorrow, we start to go back to the way we live really, really fast.
You know,
But you're not.
No, you're not. And this is where it goes, folks. And this is a scary thing unless we stand up. And again, as I said, I said last week, a couple weeks ago, when we talked about the vaccine passport, this is where we draw the line in the sand. And I think enough people stood up and said, no, we're not doing this. And you know, even Biden backed down. Now, Cuomo's still racing ahead because he's an idiot. But you know, he's going to try to do whatever he can to make it.
It seems like he's even backing back.
Well,
you know,
he is. It'll go away.
He's got his minions like pulling cars, though. They're like, we're going to have this. And when he got the now
he got the smackdown. I love it.
Andrew's hiding. It's amazing. He had another conference call, or press conference this week.
But no press.
He had said for the foreseeable future, I'm not having people in these press conferences.
What a joke.
Yeah.
He was all about it when he was, open the curtain, please.
Yeah.
Remember that? Hey, look at this. New York State clean. And
I think you'll find this smelling really good.
What does it smell like to you? What a loser. Anyway, this is on the Twitter here. The Canadians were currently, this was 2 days ago, Canadians are currently at the U.S. border using lights as Morse code saying SOS with an upside-down flag. And Jesse Kelly, who's now a national, he's a Dallas talk show host. He's got a great podcast, and he now is a national talk show host. They picked him up nationally, and I follow him online. He's hilarious. But he says it perfectly. I'm just going to read what he put out there because he says it best. Because I'd like to remind everyone that Trudeau in Canada was standard coexist leftist a year ago. Now, stormtroopers are raiding churches and Canadian citizens are living in a police state. It happens fast, folks. It happens real fast. They're all an inch away from becoming tyrants. And that's the absolute truth. I don't care if it's Republicans. I don't care if it's Democrats. They're all. When you give somebody this kind of power and all of a sudden you give them unchecked power, look at who's become tyrants and how fast they become tyrants. Even
they
some
love
of
the power, they love the control, and they love telling
even
you
Governor Abbott
and what you should do.
Even in Texas, everyone's like, oh, look at how great Governor Abbott did. He finally let the mask down and got rid of the restrictions. Governor Abbott, where were you 9 months ago when DeSantis had it totally right? Governor Abbott needs to go. Governor Abbott in Texas went right along like a Jeb Bush would have, along with the left because he was too worried about getting slammed for. And so Governor Abbott, you got to go. Bye-bye. You need to go too, right?
Governor of Georgia had a set of stones. DeSantis had a set of stones.
That's it. South Dakota, Kristi Noem had a set, right?
Yep. And by the way, all their numbers are right in line, if not better than everybody else.
Yes.
Certainly better than the two most restrictive states, which were California and New York. Then can we play the clip of Fauci? I think that's really important. You know, Jim Jordan does a really good job.
Absolutely.
Of sort of cross-examining him. But, you know, it's pretty clear that he just does not want to answer questions, number one. No, number two, he doesn't care about your liberty. He really doesn't care at all about that. So let's play that clip.
Yeah, he doesn't care about your liberty, not one bit. Let me find that clip here. I got that somewhere here. Let's see here. I was looking at Twitter here. All the FBI Washington office, by the way, every day now is putting out a tweet. Can you identify these people? Do you know these people? Like, seriously? How about the guy who just burnt down the Apple store? Did you want to go look at him? Did you want to go look at Maxine Waters? Did you want to go look at any of these folks?
How about the FedEx mass shooter that they
seriously,
interviewed, a year ago or something?
Yeah. Well, look.
Shockingly, they interviewed a FedEx shooter last year and didn't do anything about it. That's shocking. Wow.
Yeah.
I'm not shocked at that at all.
I'm not shocked, not one bit. And by the way, you know, while we're on the topic, who took the call from the Parkland shooter? Who took the call at the FBI? Remember, three calls went into the FBI that said, "I think that this kid in Parkland, Florida, is going to shoot up his school." And the FBI did not turn that tip over to anybody in the field to look into it.
Instead, they're trying to get the 700th guy that walked into the Capitol after they were invited in by the guards.
Before I play this clip, I'm going to say something really controversial here, but I'm going to stand by this statement, okay? And I'm going to stand by this statement because I would have never believed this statement myself until I found out that they were actively selling high-powered weapons to vicious Mexican drug cartels. If they're willing to do that, Are they willing to just ignore some of these mass shooters, knowing that eventually they're going to have a mass shooting, in an effort to further the Democrat talking points of gun restriction? Is it a possibility that because in some cases, like in the Michigan case, they had those 6 people that were the right wing that were plotting. Those were being a lot of these people first of all, a lot of these people have mental issues. A lot of these people they all have mental issues. Well, they all have mental issues, but a lot of these people are being encouraged or aided and abetted by the FBI. The FBI is giving some of these people the tools, right? And they've caught a lot of these people.
Certainly, they're at least ignoring a kid like that.
Well, they're ignoring it. They're not doing anything about it, right?
Some of these are pretty obvious, like the Parkland shooting. When you've gotten 3 calls in, you do some investigative reporting if you really give two
I don't think so. I think honestly, they're one of 2 things. You can't have a third. It's one of 2 things. Either they're grossly incompetent, which really well could be the case, right? I mean, they're a government agency
Let me say this. I would bet that not so much they're grossly incompetent, but the organization gets so big that they become incompetent, if that makes sense, right? It's just such a big animal. That's why you and I always profess smaller government.
Yeah, I don't think that's the case, though. I think it's the latter. I think that
be right, yeah.
I think it's the latter. I mean, you look at they tried to have a coup against President Trump. They actively went to the FISA court and lied to them to get wiretaps to spy on American citizens. And again, I would have never believed it, folks. I know you're going to think I'm crazy and say, "Oh my God, look at that statement by Wiggle," right? I think he's crazy. Look at after the IRS, our government gave Mexican drug cartels high-powered rifles. The only reason we know that is because one of those weapons was recovered at the death at the site of the shooting of Brian Terry, a Border Patrol. How many people in Mexico were slaughtered?
They went on to say, well, we were supposed to trace them, but we forgot to put tracers on.
Bullshit.
Wow.
Bullshit. That's total horse crap. Total horse crap,
Could you
right?
imagine that?
So if the FBI...
we just forgot.
I
think you'll find these guns in safe order here.
If the FBI and the ATF and our government is willing to sell high-powered assault rifles to the most vicious people in the world, right? Mexican drug cartels are beheading people. They kill innocent people. They kill whole families. These are not nice people. So if the FBI is willing to sell, and the government, ATF, FBI, they're all involved, right? If they're willing to sell 2,000 plus high-powered weapons that we know about to Mexican drug cartels, vicious people, why wouldn't they just ignore? It can't be that far-fetched that they might just simply ignore something that they know might blow up at some point, right? I don't know. Yep. I hope that's not the case. Right. I hope it's just gross incompetence. However, when you start again to connect the dots and you see the pattern, you really have to wonder. And if they are that grossly incompetent, they need to be eliminated and they need to be rebuilt from the bottom up.
Well, that goes back to
down.
draining the swamp, which Trump did not do a very good job.
No, could have done much better.
He tried, but he could have done a much better job. First of all, everybody up at the higher levels of the FBI gone. That first week, bye-bye.
I would just eliminate the whole agency and say you can reapply, and we're going to re-interview you and see what your. If I were Trump, if he runs again, I'm not sure if he will or not. I hope he does. If he runs again and he wins, what I'd like to see a President Trump do is the following. Number one, you eliminate the FBI. You have everybody reapply. You search everybody's social media feeds to see what the kind of crap they're putting out there, right? And I'm not saying they got to be conservative. They can certainly be liberal. But if they're putting out there like, go Antifa, burn it down. Like, we don't want those people in there, right? We probably want them gone, right? Yeah. The second thing I would do.
We want law. How about this? We want law-abiding citizens.
Yeah. I think if you really want to cut the size of government.
Respect authority.
I don't think you start with welfare because I think that's a polarizing issue, right? I think you're going to have everyone on the left go, oh, you got to be compassionate. I think the Democrats use welfare reform as a bludgeon against conservatives. But I think,
of course they do.
But I think something, though, that we could get a bipartisan support for is cutting out some of these agencies. You could actually say to people, look, we might be able to get you more benefits. However, right now, a lot of your benefits are going to these $100,000 salaries in the education department. We got to eliminate that. Oh, hundreds, Rob. Multi-hundreds.
I mean,
right?
Some of these agencies are $500,000 million positions.
Yeah, well, look at Dr. Fauci. He's making what?
Look at the agencies that regulate us.
Right,
$1 million positions.
Million plus, right?
$1 million positions.
So I think you could probably get bipartisan support if you had a president that stepped up and said, "Look, folks, we got to get rid of the energy department. What is the energy department doing for you? It's taking your money and it's paying bureaucrats that don't do anything, right? So we can eliminate the energy department.
Education.
We can eliminate the Department of Education, right?
You teachers, we're going to still pay you well. You deserve to be paid.
How about
well,
this? How about we give all the teachers a 10% raise across the board by eliminating the education department? We'd still be way ahead.
Yeah.
Right? Give the money. Give the money back to the people. Give it back to us. It's our money.
Right.
I think that's the case that nobody's been willing to make or able to make. This look at whether you're a Democrat, whether you're a union worker, whether you're a teacher, whether you're a plumber, whether you're a business person, whether you're an executive, whether you're an entrepreneur. This is our money. We're all paying it into the system.
Some of that. Trump did some of that type of messaging with
right
with
right out
trade,
of the gate. Yes.
With trade, right? So, hey, look, we're all getting screwed by trade. It doesn't matter whether you're a union laborer or if you're a business owner, we're all getting screwed by trade. But to your point, these agencies are, and then that's how you control them. I mean, they're just so out of control and big that it doesn't matter.
No
right?
idea.
Rick Perry goes there, he sits around and gets a pension and a nice salary because it's so darn big. Nobody knows who's doing what. Doesn't matter anymore, right?
Yeah, no doubt. All right, back to Fauci now. So Fauci is a total fraud. If you haven't figured this out, like most people, by the way, in Washington, all right, most people in government, most bureaucrats, if you're a lifelong bureaucrat, you've been there for 30, 40 years, here's what you're good at. You're good at not being held accountable for all the stupid stuff. And that's Dr. Fauci. This guy has had more sides than a freaking Rubik's Cube, okay? Well, this guy has taken every position. We don't need masks. We do need masks. Now we need 2 masks. Here's the thing that really bothers me the most, and we know this. Well, go ahead, Mike.
The Democrat Party. That's what he's doing.
Well, here's what drives me nuts to know. All these guys, it drives me crazy. Dr. Fauci gets on the mound in front of the public with the mask. When he thinks he's off camera, the mask comes off, right? Mark Poloncarz is right here locally in Erie County, right? Mask. Oh, we all got to wear masks to protect. It's not about you. It's about protecting everybody else. Did you not care that day, Mark, that you were golfing? Did you not care about your friends that day?
It was so deadly he forgot about it. It was so deadly.
Exactly.
He was with 20 friends. It's not like, by the way, he was with 1 or 2 friends that you could say, look, I've always been with these people. He was with 20 friends. It's so deadly, it's going to kill so many people that he just forgot that he shouldn't have been in a room with 20 people.
That's right. And
I give credit where credit's due, though, by the way. The Oscars, I have no idea what it is, but I read this on Breitbart. Masks not required when cameras roll, but they are required during the commercial breaks. Now, what I'm proud of them for is they usually do this bullshit the opposite.
It's right.
Usually, as soon as the cameras roll, they all are face masked up and they got their face diapers wrapped around their head 10 times. And then when the cameras go off, they take them off. So I'm proud of you for switching the game up a little bit.
Right.
Good for you.
Good for you.
Yeah, good for you. Because usually you've been caught so many times. There's nothing better than the press conference at one time in the Capitol or I forget, maybe it was a Trump press conference, but they all had their masks on. The minute they thought the cameras were off, they took them all off.
They all take it off.
What a joke.
Yep, they all take it off. Over and over again. There was a Canadian that just sent a video, put it online, and the same thing. The guy was walking down the street by himself, bureaucrat with the face mask. As soon as he walks in the door, he turns to look back at the door and make sure it's closing. And as the door is closing, he pulls off his mask. So he's wearing it outside. So he's on camera seeing with the mask going into the building. And then as soon as in the building, he takes it off. Look, look, you want to wear a mask, go ahead and wear a mask. What I'm saying is these people know, folks. Mark Poloncarz knows. Governor Cuomo knows. Sure. He's got the data. The CDC knows. They've got the data. And Dr. Fauci has the data, too.
They know they can divide people.
Yeah, this is a clip that calls it out.
And they're winning. They're winning.
No doubt.
You know why? Because I'm not 30%, 40%. 80% of the people that are conservative that think these are garbage are still wearing them.
Right. They're like, okay, I don't want to be, because they're not, because most people in this world are non-confrontational.
They are.
They don't want the Karen to get in their face and scream at them.
There's 10% of the left, not 20, 10% of the left that are out of control, and they are running things.
That's right.
They are running things.
That's right.
And they know they can do that, right?
Because they scream the loudest.
They're going to intimidate you, and you're going to back down.
Well, we got to talk about the new law in Florida.
How many businesses, by the way, the call I was on yesterday said, how many businesses, who's actually operating and winning? Well, I can tell you that we have never closed down, and we've been winning, right? We're adding on all kinds of clients. We're winning out of it. Robbie De Niro never closed down in Orchard Park, said, I'm not closing. We're not wearing masks. If you want to wear a mask, you can come in and wear a mask, but I'm not forcing you to wear a mask. Guess who's open and winning? He is, right? The businesses who are not winning are the ones that are stepping down to these people, right?
Please give me my freedoms back,
doors all you want. Health department, you want to come today and lock the doors? Guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to take a saw to them, and I'm going to open my damn doors.
That's right. It's just lunacy. But you're right, though. The people that are kind of like, well, I want to go along to get along. Please let me open.
They're getting crushed.
They're not. Look at.
No, they're not going along to get along.
These tyrants,
they're there to run you over.
That's right. These tyrants and communists, they don't care. they're not going to give you your freedom and your liberty back unless you rip it back out of their hands. Okay,
Yeah,
if that's not
right.
clear by now, I don't know what to tell you.
That's right.
Other than that, the good news is we still have refugee states, right? We can go to Florida, we can go to Texas, we can go to Idaho, Wyoming. Over 30 of the states are freedom-loving states. So the majority of this country,
it's getting redder and redder.
it's getting redder,
right?
absolutely.
Yep.
Let's play this Fauci clip because this is, Jim Jordan does a great job. This is one of many clips. There's a couple different ones here. I'm going to play this one. Hopefully, this is the one you're talking about, Mike. But this is a good one here, and it just nails it right on the head. If I can get it to go.
Determines when.
I'm sorry.
What measure? I mean, are we just going to continue
This is
this
an easy
forever?
answer,
Or when do we get to the point? What measure? What standard? What objective outcome do we have to reach before Americans get their liberty and freedoms back?
You know, you're indicating liberty and freedom. I look at it as a public health measure to prevent people from dying and going to the hospital.
You don't think Americans' liberties have been threatened the last year, Dr. Fauci? They've been assaulted. Their liberties have.
I don't look at this as a liberty thing, Congressman Jordan.
Well, that's
I look at
obvious.
it as a public health thing.
But
I disagree with you on
you think
that.
the Constitution is suspended during a
Yes.
virus?
Yes,
during
he
a
does.
It has
pandemic?
been.
It's certainly not.
Yes,
This
it
has been.
will end for sure when we get the level of infection very low. It is now at such a high level. There's a threat again of major surges.
Dr. Fauci, over the last year, Americans' First Amendment rights have been completely attacked.
The question, though, is what is that level? That's
Yeah,
the
and
question,
by the way,
Doctor. He should have stayed on that point. What
he's
is
making
that
a-
level specifically?
He's making a few $100,000 a year.
Right.
This is very easy to answer mathematically, right?
Right.
All you need to do is say, look at once we get below
X.
10,000 cases a day,
Whatever.
20,000 cases a day, we feel like we can go back to normal. That's manageable. He will not say it.
No.
In his brain, he's thinking we got to go to zero, which we may never go to.
No, because he doesn't want to say it because he's going to change the goalpost.
Yeah,
so we'll
absolutely.
never get there.
That's
Are you
right.
getting it now, folks?
No, right.
We will never get there. Gretchen Whitmer in Michigan, Governor Cuomo, Gavin Newsom, who I can't think of the Oregon governor, they all want the same thing. They want
Right.
these
Control.
business restrictions and control over your business
And they
forever.
don't. They
Forever.
don't care about whether your business goes out of business.
No, they don't care.
That's pretty obvious, right?
No,
We've
they don't
already
care.
lost 2 out of 3 restaurants in Erie County here. Mark Poloncarz could care less. He's never come out and said, I feel absolutely disgusting that we've lost these restaurants. Andrew Cuomo has never said, I'm just sick that we've lost these. They don't care. They don't care.
No, they don't.
And whether it's your movie theater or your nail salon, they do not
They don't care because they think the state can just come in and rebuild it, right? They think that Governor Cuomo is so arrogant. They think they can just come in and do whatever. Let me play this other clip, Mike, because this really shows the absolute just trailer trash classless of Maxine Waters. This is Jim Jordan again going after Dr. Fauci, but really, really just classless. I mean, unbelievable, right?
Yeah, she's total
Yeah, it's
garbage.
Yeah, she really is.
Question. The American people want Dr. Fauci to answer the question.
But
What
you
does it
can't
have to be?
expire, sir. If you need to respect the chair and shut your mouth.
You need to respect the chair and shut your mouth. I mean, seriously?
Really?
What trash. You are trash. And now she's out there going, if we don't get the murder charges of Derek Chauvin, you need to get more confrontational, as if they're not confrontational enough. I got to tell you, Governor DeSantis, thank God we have a sanctuary state we can go to, right? Yeah. Thank God, because Governor DeSantis comes out and says, okay, they signed the anti-riot bill. Of course, the rest of the mainstream media is like, oh my God. And he's right. He's like, look, I've watched people in restaurants sitting there peacefully with their family, get surrounded by a mob. We're not putting up with that here.
No.
We're not.
Good. And guess
so
what?
it hasn't happened here.
He did that last time when he said, look, if you're going to block our highways and somebody runs you over, that's your fault,
That's right.
not the person in the car. I did send you a link, by the way, of a local media station down in South Florida. If we can play that, it's really,
Is it
really
email
good.
or how'd you send it? Or text?
No, I think I texted it to you. Yeah. But
yeah. I got it.
See if you can play that. I think I said 138 or something like that started because there's a few other clips in it. But it really does because it's funny. Now he passes this anti-riot legislation, right? Now it doesn't say you can't protest, peacefully protest.
No, of course not.
None of that, right? There's no such thing. Like doesn't say it black or white or anything. I mean, so what in your brain thinks that you have the right to go smashing and looting? And that's just okay. I mean, I can't, even if you're in your brain saying, okay, I know this is wrong, but I'm going to do it anyways, to come out against legislation that says it's not cool to smash and riot. It's just, I mean, that's
what they say is
it's no more in your face. That
right.
You can't get any more in my face than saying, you're going to pass laws that I can't smash your building, and I think that's wrong.
Well, what they'll say is, and the way they try to twist it is, well, this is racist because it's against, they're aggressively going after Black Lives Matter. What are they looking at? Because I'm watching the police sit back and go,
yeah,
and they're being told to stand down while Black Lives Matter burns down places, right? Meanwhile, the FBI Washington Bureau is putting out tweets and messages every single day going, can you identify this guy? Can you identify this person?
Yep.
What about this lady? You're talking about people who got caught up in the moment. Look, if you got the guy who went into Ted Cruz's office or Maxine's office or Pelosi's office and trashed the office and did damage, of course, go after those folks. But if somebody was standing there or walking on the property or whatever, by the way, and just for everybody's aware, go back and watch the video. On one side of the building, they were climbing the wall. On the other side of the building, the Capitol Police were actually moving the gates. And by the way, we have to get to that too. The Capitol officer, that police officer that lost his life.
He died of natural causes.
Natural causes.
Natural
Shame
causes.
on the mainstream
by the way,
media.
some of those
and they knew it. They knew it. The DOJ has had this report for weeks and weeks and weeks.
Yeah.
They knew it.
Yeah. Yep.
Sickening.
Oh yeah, but that doesn't fit the rhetoric of the right killed the cops. So.
That's right. Exactly. It's ridiculous.
By the way,
but the left is still saying, left's like, wow.
We're trained professionals.
Absolutely.
They were there
No question.
to antagonize people. They were part of the left. They were part of Antifa. Most of the Trump people were there with some little beer bellies, and they weren't scaling walls.
I'm 49 years old. I'm not scaling a fence, let alone a wall, okay? I watched these people scale a 20-foot wall as if they were professional militia.
Something didn't seem to smell right there.
Gee. Anyway, all right, here's a clip that I think this is about 148, so hopefully I'm in the right area here. We'll see.
Are misleading. The jury will remain sequestered until they reach a verdict. Florida's governor has signed a new anti-riot law.
Tonight, some civil rights groups say the law infringes upon free speech. News 6's Troy Campbell has reaction.
How? Yeah, exactly.
This Black Lives Matter mural was painted here along Rosalind Avenue in downtown Orlando, across from Lake Eola, last summer, following demonstrations after the death of George Floyd. Our News 6 legal analyst says that with this bill now signed into law, officers can make arrests with stricter penalties.
As we're playing this, I just want you to think, folks, 1,000 people moving to Florida a day, right? Mm-hmm. Many of them are white, and many of them happen to be black. Mm-hmm. They're moving there for more opportunity.
And freedom.
They're not moving there. You know where they're moving away from? Mm-hmm. New York City, where their apartment is on fire, right? Black and white people moving to Florida for opportunity, right? Not because they want their Portland condo smashed in, their Portland home smashed in, right? They're moving away from that.
Why is
the majority of people in Florida support this?
That's right.
Forget about black and white. That's not what they're thinking, right? They're thinking, okay, I want to move to a place that's safe, that's going to give me economic freedom to get a job and raise my family and do what I need to do.
We got to find that Charles Barkley clip too before the show's out.
Oh yeah, he was great.
He's spot on. Okay, this is ridiculous. Really, let me play the rest of this clip.
Yeah.
Across from Lake Eola last summer, following demonstrations after the death of George Floyd. Our News 6 legal analyst says that with this bill now signed into law, officers can make arrests with stricter penalties.
The timing of this bill is clearly intended to deal with what this bill originally responded to.
As a jury deliberates who's responsible for the death of George Floyd in Minnesota, News 6 legal analyst, attorney Stephen Kramer, says in the 61-page bill, the state can step in if money is taken away from a policing agency.
If a city or county wants to reduce the budget for law enforcement, they effectively have to go to the state, and then the state can effectively override that local decision.
Good.
The law also takes away cash bail for arrestees determined to have been taking part in a forceful riot, keeping them in custody until they go before a judge.
How is that racist?
Kramer also said,
First of all, can you stop
what
right
are
there?
you saying?
You know who's going to be put in prison?
Yeah, white suburban women.
White suburban
25-year-old white suburban girls. Exactly what's going to be.
That's exactly who's going to be arrested, right? It's not going to be black women. It's not going to be black men. It's going to be white suburban women who drove there in daddy's SUV.
Yes, from their white suburban neighborhood, right?
Yeah.
Right next to where the Black Lives Matter co-founder is now living, right? She picked the fourth whitest suburb in L.A. The fourth. not. I guess the top 3 weren't available, right? But seriously, she hates white people, hates them, wants to live right among them, right?
She's doing well, Glenn, but she'd have to sell the other 3 homes to move into the top 2.
I guess, right?
Yeah.
Anyway.
The law takes away some civil liabilities if a driver strikes someone in the roadway determined to be participating in a riot. Additionally, anyone blocking traffic could be subject to arrest.
You might be involved in a peaceful protest, and if there is enough people, it could spill over to the roads, and that could arguably subject protesters to civil or criminal penalties depending on the circumstances.
Yes.
NAACP
How about
Florida
this?
saying
How about stay off the damn roads?
Yeah.
How about this? How about stay off the streets and stop blocking traffic? How about
find
there's
a peaceful place to assemble?
Look,
right?
we had a I don't know, months and months ago, right? They had a drive around the Niagara Circle rally. I just say we because I wasn't there, but they had a drive around the Niagara Circle, and all the liberals like, oh my God, they won't be able to get the people that are dropping over dead from COVID to the hospital. How dare they be so insensitive?
Not one ambulance went through.
Now, one ambulance went through, but yet now it's like, well, if you block traffic, oh well, that's a racist civil rights issue. Come on.
Here's what the right does. The right calls the police before and says,
we're having a protest.
Coming down.
Here's
how
what we're
would you
doing.
like us to behave?
Exactly.
What can we block off?
Right.
Where can we be? Right. Can we do this? We put together with Russ Thompson a pro police pro blue rally. Right.
Yep.
We asked them, hey, can we use? We're coming through the park.
Right.
Where do you want us to be?
Yep.
Right. Where would you like us to be? How would you like us to behave?
That's right.
And they worked with us. Right.
Yep.
It wasn't about smashing windows or blocking off the street so nobody could drive by and commerce couldn't operate.
Let me back this up though, because this is super important, right? Because just keep this in mind now. Some people got out of control at the Capitol. And the protests spilled over into the streets, right, which happened to be the Capitol itself, right?
Yeah.
This guy's saying now they could be charged. Oh, but yet the FBI every single day is going after people who stormed the Capitol, the insurrection, right?
Right.
You know, it's a joke. How come there's not an insurrection when it comes to Antifa in Portland that's attacking the courthouse?
If you are a registered Democrat right now or side with the Democrat Party, you can pretty much do whatever you want to do.
No doubt.
They are pro smashing windows as long as it's all about Antifa and Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
If you are Maxine Waters, you can say, if you see these people in a restaurant, you go out and get them. If we don't get the verdict we want in the courts, you go out and smash whatever you want. If you and I said that today, we would be in jail tomorrow.
Well,
If
the
we
FBI
did-
would be
we
showing
took
up
this-
our house for sure.
Absolutely.
They'd be knocking on the door. Mr.
Absolutely.
Lomas, I'd like to have a conversation with you. That's what they would do. Because
no doubt about it.
The FBI is showing up at Patriots' houses going, what do you know about the cat? I can tell you what. Come to my house, please. Please. Come to my house so I can slam the door in your face, you clowns. And there's some good ones of you, I know, but the rest of you clowns, you're all clowns, right? Again, how many mass shooters did you guys know about, talk to, interview, and aware of, and did nothing about?
But the only thing they knew, by the way,
or
it was amazing,
complicit.
is for the first few days, they knew nothing about the shooter except for the gun he used,
Right,
the
exactly.
AR-15
Right.
he used.
Yep.
That's the only thing they knew.
Yep.
Right, give me a break. They knew he used an AR-15. They couldn't identify who the shooter was.
Nope.
Yeah, whatever.
And once again, the family was like, so sad. And it's so sad. It's tragic, right?
is.
You lost
On all
lives.
sides.
All
On all
sides, right?
sides.
Including the shooter, because he was a young man, obviously troubled. Parents begging, please. My son's got issues.
Right.
Please come. Nope, ignored it, right?
Yep.
Now tell me, there's nothing we can do until something happens. Oh, that's crap.
Yeah.
You can absolutely put a note into the national, the NIS or NIH or whatever, the NIC system, NIC, National Instant Check System, I think it's called,
Absolutely.
NIC or whatever, right? The NIC
Absolutely.
system.
Could have been
You
monitored.
could put something in that said, whoa, flag this guy, make it a 3-day wait. There's all kinds of stuff they can do.
Yep.
And all these cases, by the way, they say, well, we couldn't do anything there. There were cases like in Texas, for example, where the guy was had a previous assaulting his girlfriend and his wife and a baby. He was dishonorably discharged from the military. Those are things that automatically should preclude you, and do in a lot of states and on a federal level, from getting an immediate firearm. Yet he was able to walk in and buy one, right?
Yep.
Anyway,
Well,
let's
the
think
rules
about
are
this
in
guy.
place there if we just use them, right?
Exactly.
And I've said this for a long time. We want to talk about gun control. Okay, let's work on the illegal criminals first.
Yeah, well, they keep letting them out.
If we can take their guns away, which, by the way, means supporting the
That's
police.
not what they want. That's not what they want.
Their
Their agenda is to disarm the patriots and conservatives in America so that they have one party rule and they can institute whatever they want. And there's
pretty clear.
nothing that we can do, right?
Anybody
Nothing.
with
That's
a brain
what they
in their
want.
head would say, okay, look, if we're going to really attack the gun problem and all the homicides in a place like Chicago, we're going to go out and get the illegal guns first. Then we'll
Right.
work on the legal
Yeah,
ones.
no. They're letting them out, Mike. They're letting them out. Let me play the rest of this clip because I'm going to play this part again with this guy. Well, they can just spill into the street and boom, it's a criminal offense. Yes. That's right.
That's right.
Stay on the sidewalk. Stay out of the road, okay?
That's right.
Also says the new law takes away some civil liabilities if a driver strikes someone in the roadway determined to be participating in a riot.
Good.
Additionally, anyone blocking traffic could be subject to arrest.
You might be involved in a peaceful protest, and if there's enough people, it could spill over to the roads, and that could arguably subject protesters to civil or criminal penalties depending on the circumstance.
The NAACP in Florida saying the new law will discourage people from taking part in peaceful protests.
Now law enforcement come and drag everybody to jail, saying
that's
that
not what
they're
it says.
acting in concert, saying that it's a RICO violation, and people who just want their voices heard will be drugged off to jail, which is
you're not going to be drugged off to
it's an
jail.
infringement on our First Amendment right.
That's a
Governor
lie.
DeSantis went on to say this law in no way is meant to discourage free speech or right to protest.
Yep.
I just
Clearly
wonder,
a lie.
though, is
they're just going to drug you off to jail. That's what he said. They drug you off to jail, but for no reason at all. That's not what it says.
Right.
It says you can't go smash people's windows when they're eating dinner peacefully at a restaurant. You can't just walk in and start pushing tables over and be violent. You want to peacefully assemble? You can do that. Nothing at all in this law says you can't do that.
Right. You know what does discourage, though, of legitimate protests? Hunting down people that were involved. There was 1 million people on January 6th in the Capitol. 1 million people were there. Only about 1,000 went into the Capitol building, maybe a few more, but I don't think it was many more than that, right? You're talking about less than 1% of the people 99% of the people were there and were totally peaceful. There were no riots outside of the Capitol. There were no businesses burnt. The Capitol wasn't burnt, and you know it. If BLM was there and BLM was rioting or Antifa was rioting at the Capitol, it would be a pile of rubble right now.
Yep,
we would be bulldozing the site and figuring out how to build a new Capitol. And you know what the left would be saying? The left wouldn't be saying insurrection. The left would be saying, well, this is what happened. This is what we deserved it, right? This is this is because we're a racist country and we've always been racist, and that's what they're teaching these kids now. By the way, everywhere, even in Florida, I can hear it from some of these kids. Like, well, you're where you are because you're a white male. Oh,
that's
BS. Let me ask you this: Did I get a pot of gold when I was born? Did I was it? Oh, you're a white male. Here. There's where the leprechaun is. Here's a big pot of gold. Look, you're well on your way. Like, what is that? Look, if anything, and I got to be honest, if anything. The folks that get the advantages now in this country are on the left, and a lot of them are minorities, and some should, right? That's about making things right. And if you haven't read the book, what was it called, The Outliers? It's a good book, and it talks about why some of the affirmative action actually is a good thing, right? Because if not, and if quotas weren't in place, then Harvard would be nothing but Asians, right? And so we want to have some diversity. I get it, right? That makes sense. But don't tell me white privilege when a white person potentially doesn't get a job, even though they have a better test score, better grades, better qualifications, and a black person gets it simply because of the color of his skin. That's privilege, folks. There's not any white people getting a job simply because of the color of their skin that I know of by law, right? So just stop with this privilege crap.
It's real simple.
Everybody, you have American privilege. That's what you have.
Open up your own business, and you will soon realize very fast that you need to hire the people who are best for that job.
That's right.
What we should be training children is who cares about the color of your skin. It's all about being the very best at what you do. Because if you're the very best at what you do, I assure you, money will follow.
That's right.
Mike and Glenn have owned a number of businesses. We could care less what the color of your skin is. We want you to do the job that you can do and do it great. And if you're not doing it great, we'll find somebody else who is doing it great.
What we have American privilege, the privilege of being born in this country and the opportunity for liberty and to pursue your own happiness, however that might be. Somebody said to me recently, we were talking
big government
about
is trying to destroy that.
Absolutely.
Every single time. By the way, you want to get rid of the police? Okay. You guess what neighborhoods will still have police? the wealthier white neighborhoods. It won't be the east side of Buffalo. You want to defund the police, it won't be Amherst that defunds the police. They'll go out and hire their own private police force.
Did you see the polls,
It'll be
though?
the east side of Buffalo that it gets defunded.
Did you see the polls on that, though? The something like, well, first of all, the vast majority of Americans don't want to defund the police.
No, again, it's a very small group, but they're running things because they show up and they're the loudest voice out there.
The black
preservationists.
But the black communities are a higher percentage. So something like 66% of whites don't want their police to be downsized, but like 86% of black residents in neighborhoods.
Well, they get it.
Because they get it. Yeah, they're the ones that need the police, right? They're like, wait a minute, what are you talking about? I don't want
need more police, not
so
less
like
police.
You said, Mike, it's a very small group of 10% of these
Very
people
small.
that are what, why Delta Airlines and MLB, right? This is what these people do, right? That's all they do is they call up, they agitate. This BLM, by the way, Black Lives Matter, the whole thing, the whole movement is based off of a lie. The whole movement was started because of what was the guy in Ferguson? Michael Brown, right? Hands up, don't shoot. Thank you, Obama. This Black Lives Matter is an Obama legacy because Obama fanned and stoked the racist flames in this country and tried to pit and successfully pitted. I've never before have I seen in the media a controversy between black folks and white folks when really on the streets there's really no controversy, right?
No.
You work with different people of different colors or races and sexes, and they're trying to do that now with sex, by the way, right? So somebody said to me recently, I was going to say before, don't you want your daughter to be hired and have the same opportunity as men do? I said, not because I don't want my daughter to be hired because she's a woman.
No.
I want my daughters to be hired because they're the most qualified for the job. I want people to look at my kids, whether it's my son or my daughters, I want them to say, look at the qualifications, the experience, the education, right? Are they the most qualified for that job? That's what I want.
That comes back to my daughters competing at a fair level, meaning that I don't want my daughters to think, hey, you're going to just get this job because you're a woman.
Right.
I want you to think I'm going to get this job because you're the best at it.
That's right.
I want you to go out and get your education at whatever you believe you want to do. I don't care if that's baking cookies or you want to be an attorney or you want to be a doctor, right? If you're going to bake cookies, I want you to bake the best cookies out there and compete with the best chefs in the world and not care about whether you're a woman or a male. By the way, did you see that somebody sent us early in the week? It was a guy who went into a restroom. He had a few drinks in him.
Yeah, I love it.
He's
Hilarious.
in the women's restroom peeing and all these.
I'm transgender. It must have been like Britain or something.
He goes, I'm transgender. They know you're not transgender. Yes, I am. I'm transgender.
Who are you telling me I'm not transgender? I can do.
He didn't want to wait in line anymore. He's like, I've had enough. That's what the left wants.
That's what you want,
there's consequences to your actions.
That's right.
We'll wrap this up here. A few funny things here. 2 women tried to spend $1 million bill at a Dollar General store.
Oh, Jesus.
That is the dumb criminal of the week there, by the way. New York State comptroller asked Attorney General to launch probe into Cuomo's pandemic book.
Mm-hmm.
Many of you on the right are going to find this hard to believe, but he actually used his staff that was so overwhelmed with COVID
couldn't
to
possibly
work on his book. They were so overwhelmed with the most deadly virus that ever hit us. That they needed to spend some time with him. So, good news. Panic time. NBA fast approaching historic rating lows.
Good. Perfect. Bye-bye.
So,
bye-bye.
Look,
you
I'm
deserve
all
it.
for an NBA player voicing their opinion. I'm not for an NBA player kneeling for the flag and disrespecting our flag. I'm sick to see any of these professional athletes disrespect the flag. You want to protest? You want to speak your opinion outside of playing basketball or football? God bless you. But stand up for the flag. That's just disgusting at all levels. I don't care who you are.
Here's another poll, Rasmussen poll, and there's a number of polls that go along with this that are all saying the same thing. This is regarding voter ID. 69% of blacks and 82% of non-white minorities support voter ID.
Yeah.
Okay, 69% of blacks and 82% of non-white minorities. So you're talking about 70-75%, 3/4 of non-white minorities in general all want voter ID. I think that's actually higher than the white number.
Well, probably.
Well,
Again,
especially when you factor in the liberal left.
The DeSantis riot rules are going to round up a lot of 18-year-old women. That's what white women.
No doubt.
White women. That's what it's going to round up.
Women, exactly.
But unfortunately, the mainstream media doesn't tell the right story, right? So you've got Will Smith moving out, and if anybody just said, "Hey, Will, where you moved to?" They have more restrictive voting rights than where you're leaving from, and that was a national story. he'd look like the fool he was for doing that.
Right, stupid.
And people would get the right message on it. Hey, look at, we played clip after clip of black people who know how to find their license, their ID, and they know where the DMV is, and they know where they need to vote, and these are the same
it's right. It's right down there on. It's at 116th Street. And
what an insult!
The best look is the look on their face. Like, what are you talking about? Like, he's like, it's kind of stupid for me to ask these questions, right? He goes, kind of.
Yeah, kind of is.
Kind of is.
Kind of is.
I want to find this just Charles Barkley clip if I can. I don't know if I can find it or not, though, on the fly here. I may have to wait
you know
for
what?
the Saturday
I may have
show.
sent it to you.
Yeah, he probably did. I got so many clips here. It's like just so many of them.
Yeah, no, Charles is spot on, not afraid to talk. And you know what? That's what I love. Like, Charles, look, you've got an opinion, and we're an opinion. I'm okay with that. Have your opinion, man. Get it out there. Just don't disrespect the flag. Right? Yeah. That American flag is why we're all free. That's
right.
why you're free.
That's right.
That's what ended slavery. I mean,
if you really want to do something for all those kneeling, right? None of these. Here's what they do: they kneel for the flag, they virtue signal, and then they go back to their multi-million-dollar mansions in their white neighborhood. Okay,
that's right.
If those that are creating schools in inner cities and helping out with the education system, those are the ones that have the right to kneel. You want to kneel and say, "I want to make things better," and then you go off of the camera and you actually walk the walk, right? Then okay, then I'll say fine. You want to kneel and then go do something about it, so you're drawing attention and then you're actually doing things.
Yeah.
Okay, right? But if you're just going to kneel and then walk off camera, go back to your multi-million-dollar mansion and get driven there in your Mercedes, right? And not step 1 foot. Do you guys step into any sort of black neighborhoods or do it? Now, that's not everybody. There's a lot of great folks that are doing everything they can, and there are folks that are setting up schools and giving back to the community and doing what they can. But those are few and far between.
Yeah, few and far between.
And that's just ridiculous. So,
we'll save that for next week.
Yeah, I can't find it. We'll save it for next week. Yeah.
On behalf of Mike Lomas, Come Wiggle, we do manage money for a living. If you think like us, use our team as a resource, whether it's independent AHIP certified Medicare reps, if you're turning 65, need to think of the financial guys. Our home and auto division, we can shop over 25 companies to save you money. It's so easy. A liberal could do it. We have chartered financial analysts, registered investment advisors, certified financial planners. Our bench is deep, and if you need our help, use us as a resource, a one-stop financial shop. TheFinancialGuys.com. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and subscribe to us on YouTube. We need to get that conservative voice out there, folks, okay? Again, on behalf of Mike Lomas, Gone Wiggle, we'll see you next week. Don't forget about Saturday. Tune in WBEN, Wham out in Rochester, iHeartRadio, and radio.com.